Every American knows that Ford pioneered the assembly line to make the first mass-produced cars. But it's Toyota, now one of the world's most successful car manufacturers, that took such a radical approach to supply chains that they changed manufacturing forever. And it's this manufacturing idea, known as lean manufacturing or the Toyota production system, that's now used by some of the world's most successful companies, including Apple. Today, I'm going to talk about two of the most important concepts from lean manufacturing and why I think you should apply them in your line of work. The first thing that's radically different about the Toyota production system is that Toyota does not manufacture huge quantities of items that they aren't going to sell quickly. So if there's something that's not going to sell quickly, Toyota is not going to manufacture thousands of these things, stick them into storage, and then hope that the demand eventually gets satisfied. Instead, Toyota only manufactures enough parts to satisfy near immediate demand. So for example, if you have a Toyota Corolla and you need a new bumper, well, Toyota probably doesn't have a ton of new bumpers in stock. They might only have something like 5 or 10 bumpers available in the whole country. When your new bumper gets pulled from inventory, that creates a ticket in Toyota's system for them to manufacture one more or a few more bumpers. They're not going to go out and make 1,000 new bumpers to satisfy some eventual demand, as that would be incredibly wasteful. Apple is another great example of this. If you want an iPhone, an iPad, or a Mac computer and it's one of the standard models, you can usually go out today and get that product. And if you look at the manufacturing date of the product, you'll usually find that it was manufactured only a few days before you bought it. I even had an iPod one time. I bought the iPod and Apple had shipped it to me directly from China. That's how lean their supply chain is. Now, if you want a MacBook that requires some customization, usually you're gonna have to wait a week or two. The reason for this is that non-standard configurations are much harder to predict the demand for. So Apple doesn't want to go out and make all these non-standard configurations, stock all the stores, and then hope that one or two here and there get purchased. They want to stock the standard products, and if you need something custom, well, you're going to have to wait. What's so great about this for the companies is that they can efficiently deliver the most in-demand products to people, always knowing that they're going to have to make a lot of them to put them in stock. But for the non-standard items, they can still accommodate your request. You're just going to have to wait for it. Lean manufacturing is the most well-known way to scale economically. But the problem is that it assumes a high availability at every step in the chain. The step that is causing your process to move the most slowly is known as the bottleneck. A famous explanation for this is Boy Scouts hiking in a group, carrying all their gear. How are you going to get everyone to their destination most efficiently? Well, the wrong way to do this would be to put the fastest people at the front. That way, the fastest people get there really fast, and that motivates the rest of the group to get there really fast. But the kid in the back who's really slow, well, you're gonna have to yell at him to move faster. And the reality is nothing is gonna really get him to move super fast. The lean way to approach this is actually to put the slowest kid at the front. Nobody is allowed to go faster than the slowest kid. Then what you do is you figure out how to make the slowest kid move faster. So maybe you take some of the things out of his backpack and give it to somebody else. The faster you can make the slowest part move, the faster you can make the whole system move. If you tried to buy a laptop in the last month or so, you might have noticed that not so many laptops were available for immediate shipment. This is because a lot of the laptop supply chains were impacted by coronavirus shutdowns. Factories were temporarily closed or unable to get parts, and the shipping lanes were moving a lot slower because a lot of the planes weren't flying. These are all bottlenecks. I want to show you one of the processes I developed at work. And we're using a tool called Trello, which is inspired by Kanban, another great concept from the Toyota production system. It's going to be blurred out here because I can't share the sensitive information. However, I think you'll still be able to get the point. When work gets entered into our system, a card is created in Trello. And then as work gets done on that card, the card will move from left to right, column to column. I want to point out two bottlenecks within the system that we have here. The first is at this step in the middle, and you can see that there are a lot more cards in this step than the steps before it or after it. And the reason for this is that this step is a bottleneck. Why it's a bottleneck is because it's a software bug. And what we're doing to alleviate that bottleneck is to throw as many engineering resources as we can at the problem until we get that problem fixed. That way we can eliminate that bottleneck and keep these cards from piling up. The other bottleneck, if you will, is the work backlog. So when cards get entered into the system, they first go into this column. The issue is that this column is getting longer and longer and longer, faster than we can start moving cards through the system. Now the issue here, the bottleneck, is a capacity problem. So what we're doing to increase the capacity of our system is to hire more people who can move these cards more effectively through the system. That way, the backlog is no longer a bottleneck. As you think about some of the processes that you're responsible for at work, I really recommend applying some of these lean frameworks and using tools like Trello to visualize the process. Once you can see the process and how the various pieces are moving through the system, you'll actually be able to identify the bottlenecks. Then you can focus your efforts on reducing those bottlenecks so you can make your whole system work more smoothly. Then once you've worked out those bottlenecks, you can focus on the next bottleneck that is holding things up. And you can keep identifying these bottlenecks and keep working on them until you have a very efficient system. So what are some processes at work that you think could benefit from this kind of lean thinking? I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. Thanks so much, and I hope you have a great day.